What's up, guys? Welcome back to Let's Play Fall of Cybertron. So Jazz is doing some falling himself, and we are now going to be playing as him for this mission. And I gotta say, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, Jazz is so awesome in this game. I love him. He is so freaking cool. Like, he is, this is like the first incarnation of Jazz in quite some time that actually gives G1 Jazz some justice. If anything, he's even better than G1 Jazz because he actually gets a decent amount of screen time. And he sounds a lot like G1 Jazz as well, and has a great voice actor. I love Jazz's voice actor in this game. He's not as well known as the other voice actors who I've commented on previously, but I'd like to address something here as well. This is Sludge right here, one of the Dinobots, or Grimlock's team, as they're going to be referred to up until now. Sorry if that's a spoiler. You guys know who the Dinobots are. You know who Grimlock is. But this is after this point, we never see Sludge again for the rest of the game. Does Sludge die? We don't know. It's never addressed. What happens to him? Like he just sits there for the rest of the game. And is that a confliction with G1 canon? Like, does he stay dead? Like, what happens? We never know. But there was just too many Dinobots to design into Grimlock's level, so that's why they had to basically cut him out. And I understand the reason for it. I just wish they could have at least explained what happens to him instead of like literally killing him off. Anyway, now we're gonna have a new enemy type here, the Insecticons, which there's I think 3 different types of Insecticons. The regular Swarmers, and then there's 2 other types we're going to encounter later. The regular Insecticons we're fighting here have a couple different attacks. They have their melee attacks, and they also I think they have an acid spit attack. We're using the Scatter Blaster here, which, as I mentioned earlier in the game, has the flame mod on it, so it sets them on fire, as you would do to any annoying insect. So another classic G1 reference. I never really liked the Insecticons in Generation 1. I thought they were just an unnecessary gimmick and another little thing that draws attention to the ridiculousness of how silly the original Transformers cartoon was. We have robot insects, or robots that transform into giant insects for that matter. But they're still pretty fun to fight. You just gotta keep moving, and Jazz is a scout class as well as just like Cliffjumper and Bolton were, so he's very agile. And when they start swarming in here, we're gonna have to blast this thing open and get our Jazzy butt out of here. Oh, Jazz has such a cool transformation animation and sound effects as well. Now, if you were fortunate enough to have purchased the DLC pack for War for Cybertron in multiplayer, you could get Jazz's character model and play with him in multiplayer and in escalation as well. So you could hear Jazz as a voiced character in War for Cybertron, but you couldn't play as him in the campaign. And I thought that adding Jazz was one of the more appropriate additions to this game's campaign. I'd much rather prefer to play him over Cliffjumper, even though I like the stealth aspect of Cliffjumper's mission. I still like Jazz's mission well. We gotta haul ass through here as well. So much so the frame rate's gonna drop a little bit. Jazz's ability is the grappling hook. Now, there's one character per faction that has these abilities, both the camo and the grappling hook. And so we gotta quickly run over here and grapple all these objects, pull all these platforms down, and then get out of here. We can't use it whenever we want to in combat, but we can basically latch onto whatever ledges are available for us to latch onto at the time, which actually the game gives us a lot more freedom to do that than you would think so later on in this level. We will see the full extent of that later. Alright, Cliffjumper, do your thing. Live up to your name. Yeah, that's how it's done.
That was close, Jazz. What now? The stress signal is gone.
We make a great team, don't we? Anyway, so because Jazz is a scout class, he obviously has a car in robot mode. Car in robot mode. That was very contradicting there. He has a car in his alt mode, and it has machine guns on it like the cars do in this game. So he behaves essentially just like Cliffjumper did. He's a little bit more offensive because he has the grappling hook and everything. But like I said, you can't actually do anything to enemies with that. It's kind of a campaign. It's a campaign-only ability as well.
Hey, it's filled with raw energy.
Because there has to be a grappling point designed into the levels for you to be able to attach it to, so they can't really have it in multiplayer for that reason. Well, that's quite a backdrop there. I was gonna say, how do we expect Cliffjumper to get around when he doesn't have the grappling hook? Well then. Yeah, that brings me to the point of saying that they couldn't have really added co-op even for the parts in this game that actually have multiple characters, because they move around in such a scripted manner now. Because Cliffjumper and Jazz especially, because they Jazz always moves around in Cliffjumper's mission on basically on rails using his grappling hook to get around, and Cliffjumper in moving around in Jazz's level is pretty much prohibited to not go on the same path that you are as Jazz. He basically has to go off the beaten path. So that would be interesting to have the two players go in two opposite directions, but it would kind of be a little too much. Anyway, more jet snipers, and their ridiculous spider walking robot sniper alt modes. Anyway, we are forced to pick up the Nucleon charge rifle, and I will now be demonstrating it. It's basically the same thing as the sniper rifle, or the null ray sniper rifle in the previous game, except it has this silly charge gimmick, which is basically taken from Team Fortress 2, meaning you have to wait for it to charge up after you've engaged your scope in order to deal maximum damage. This means that no-scoping is completely useless, and it also means that you have to wait to get a headshot even after you've already been zeroed in. Now, it is a little bit easier to aim, and the actual visual effect for it actually looks like it's going straight this time instead of way off to the side. And but it actually does fire in a straight line if you do attempt to no-scope with it, so it is more accurate to try to no-scope with it, but it deals next to no damage whatsoever. Anyway, there's a couple of Rocketeers over here. We're going to go ahead and snipe them. And the first time I fought the jet snipers, including in this level, I didn't realize exactly where their weak point was, and it always took me 2 hits to kill them. But even with a not fully charged shot, you can kill them with a headshot if you know exactly what to look for, because the little what looks like kind of like a security camera on the top of their head is actually their actual sniping beam type thing. Is actually their critical hit point, their technical head, I suppose, when they're in their sniping alt mode. Anyway, there's a thermal rocket launcher down here, so now we have a heavy weapon as Jazz, which is nice. But more snipers are going to go ahead and get in position over here. And the thing about this part, though, is that this is the part of this level that I like the most. It might be one of my favorite areas in the game, actually, just because the game gives you complete and utter freedom to move around wherever you want, however you want. To any of these ledges and handle this encounter from basically whatever angle you want to. And it's really nice because you can basically move around anywhere, like I said, and you can fight these guys in a non-linear fashion. You can actually dodge them pretty easily. They're not that threatening of snipers. They hit you at about the same frequency and accuracy as the ones in the first game did, and they deal about the same amount of damage on hard, so they're not really that threatening snipers. Unlike some games I've been playing recently, but we won't go there. I think they're pretty well balanced though. But needless to say, this is not very challenging because I know how to. I'm getting a little bit impatient here. Plus, I can't really see their heads that well, being I'm recording, and my recording window is too small to really see them. But as I said, it's pretty easy to find that. I think there's a blueprint over here somewhere. That's why I'm kind of going around and showing you guys all the different platforms over here. All different angles you can fight them from. And you can always trace their beam back to where the robot itself is, so you don't have to be looking around for like, where am I being shot from? Which is always the best way to design a sniper enemy, to make sure it's not impossible to find out where they are. For some reason that shot didn't kill him. There we go. There's an achievement you can get as well if you one-shot one of these guys after they have transformed back into robot mode. Like while they're flying, or right after they've transformed, which is actually not that hard to do. But it's a little bit harder to do on hard when it's pretty hard to one-shot them unless you get a headshot, which their head is going to be in a completely different place when they transform. So good luck with that. Anyway, inevitably what we have to do here is get up here to this platform so we can remove this blockage over here and get this platform to drop so we can get across. It's a giant thing. I don't even know what it is. This place is getting stranger by the minute. At least we're not in some ancient, like, Cybertronian treasure caves or whatever anymore. And, as per usual, we take no fall damage, so that was, a safe idea, of course. And we need to go down here so we can snipity the cable off of this guy, and we can now jump across. There's a pretty heavy amount of enemies in here. I don't think they instantly respawn, but you can pretty much just say screw it and just... I'm standing in midair! Oh joy. And just drop it back over here. So that's the end of that. Jazz is getting impatient. Jazz knows when to get the hell out of here.
Stay alert. Some intruders got in.
Anyway, now we're going to be off for the Teletrain 1 station, so now we can actually adjust our setup if we feel like it.
Careful, Jazz. There's a whole squadron of nasties on the other side of that door.
That's what they're saying to each other right now. Yeah.
Jazz, you are so awesome. That has to be the blackest thing Jazz says in this level. It's awesome. But obviously I want to keep the Nucleon charge rifle. I almost said the null ray there. But here's another room where they give you pretty much free range to go wherever you want, which is really the best thing they could have done as far as game design goes for this game, because any kind of additional restriction would have really hindered this game, especially in my eyes, where I'm the kind of guy who overly criticizes games like Resident Evil 6 and Binary Domain this year for being too heavily constrictive as far as your control over the game goes, and not giving you free reign to do handle an encounter how you want to, and the game giving you animations that take the control away from you, as I've already ranted on about in my Binary Domain LP. But enough about those crappy games, and on to this good game, which actually has good control over what you're able to do. Anyway, we are now back to fighting regular enemies instead of the ridiculous jet sniper guys. So that'll actually make things a lot easier because we can actually get accurate headshots on them and not have to worry about them floating around everywhere. But it still only takes roughly the same amount of damage to kill them, of course. But like I said earlier, this area does allow you to move around quite freely using the grappling hook, but you are kind of restricted as far as, like, you're just moving basically back and forth between these bridge platforms here, and that's really about it, with the exception of this little area down here, which has some spare energon crates in it as well. And over here it has the little secret area here. This is the where the blueprint for the thermo mine dispenser would be. Like I said, we don't have offhand grenade throwing in this game, but we do have a utility tech that is, we just drop a payload of thermal mines, which is nice. It's actually a pretty good ability. I just forget to use it a lot of times. We can jump up behind enemy lines over here, which is awesome. So more energon here, and one of those weapon dispenser things we're never going to use because we have all the weapons, and it would just be a waste of energon to get something random. So I'm pretty much done with these guys now. I pretty much avoided all of them. I just need to be able to grapple my way over there, and this encounter will be done. Of course, that would be the lame way of doing things, so why not kill them instead? Explosions make everything better. Right when I was saying the game is not going to take the control away from us, the game forces us to transform. Right when we were just about to enjoy our alt mode again. We don't get to enjoy our alt mode as often as I'd like to in this game, even though it's still as useful as it was in War. Anyway, time to adjust my setup a little bit here for the final battle of this, or the second to last battle, I think, for this level. We're getting close anyway. I do want to demonstrate these close range weapons eventually, though. Oh crap.